Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be an overview of the new makeup releases that have been announced in November. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be an overview of the new makeup releases that have been announced in November. And I have been saying this for a few months now. There's always a lot, so we just need to get stuck in, and we're going to talk about whether I think these might be worth your money or not, whether I'm interested in them, who I think these things may be right for if I'm not interested in them, the whole 9 yards. And there could be things here that I may have already purchased. Just saying, because it's the season. It's the season. Before we get into the video though, and anyone who might be new and who's wondering who is this lady that I'm currently watching, well, my name is Maaike, I'm in the Netherlands, and I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, which is why I feel makeup works a little bit differently for me than most people. So that's where I'm coming from whenever I look at makeup and when I'm reviewing things, which is something I've actually been doing for more than a decade. That's how long I've been creating content online. So if, you know, and the things I like to create content with is eyeshadow palettes as a Catrice, and I really enjoy getting the use out of my makeup and try to really go back to things and revisit things and not just say something as a favorite and then never show it again on my channel. That's not what we're about. So that's something that you might find interesting, that I hope this video might be enjoyable for you, and that maybe you would like to see some more and stick around if you want to. You don't have to, but I hope we can be friends. So let's just get into these, because I have 41 again. People, I don't know what's going on. These videos just keep getting crazier and crazier. You all know about me. I'm not someone who tries to talk about everything that comes out. I try to talk about things that stand out to me, that make me go like, ooh, I might be interested in that. And then I still end up with a list of 41 things. Every single month, I'm still blown away by the sheer amount of makeup releases that we're getting. And you know, I definitely try to pick and choose. I don't aim to try everything. I really try to be careful and sort of like pick out the things that really stand out to me. So the first thing was another Glam Light Halloween release, which I wasn't in time to feature it in my previous video because I have to film these about a week in advance. Else I can't make it work because I have a day job and I cannot be like filming like the day before and then editing it. I have a life. So this is the Nightmare on Elm Street collection. This one, I'm like, yeah, you know, I get it for the brand. Like if you look at a lot of the things they have been doing recently, especially that Scooby-Doo collection that they did with the 2 palettes, this is styled in a very similar way, I feel, but then we get a very grungy gray with reds and then this very deep green palette. It goes with the movie for sure as well, I think. I'm not a horror movie fan, so I'm just speculating here. I think for the brand, this is great. My wish list still has the Friday the 13th palette on it because it has so many shimmers, but I haven't heard anything about monolith stocking it anytime soon because they haven't updated anything. At least currently as I'm filming this video, I haven't seen them mentioning on their Instagram that they're doing their next drop anytime soon. I was hoping they would do it for the Black Friday weekend, but I haven't heard anything about it. So, and I was hoping they would then get it because Monolith did announce that they would get also this collection and the Friday the 13th, but I'm not sure what's going on over on Monolith because that's the best place for me to try Glam Light. And to be quite fair, I just bought one of the other Glam Light palettes, and so I'm still a little bit on the fence whether I actually want to buy one of these other palettes that they've come out with because I haven't tried that one yet. And I have tried Glam Light in the past, and it wasn't my favorite. So that's why I'm like, will I like this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to necessarily spend my money on something that I may not necessarily love. So that's why I'm still a little bit on the fence about that one as well. But yeah, it's too dark for me for sure. But I think for the brand, this is great. If you love really dark tones, this is your collection. Then I saw this popping up on my feed as well, that Rare Beauty has an advent calendar. Not sure we needed that. I'm sure this is like a official website Sephora US only thing though. I think the holiday release they announced in one of the previous videos I did with like the mini set that has only just come to Europe. So we're very behind. I don't think we're gonna get an advent calendar anytime soon. And I'm not interested in advent calendars. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel that advent calendars will always give you products you didn't want, which is why I'd never think they're worth it. This was weird. Cara Beauty, it's a brand I've never tried before, has a new palette. It's the Cookie Tin Creative Beauty eyeshadow palette. And the way this palette is styled is like a cookie tin, but not with cookies included, but like sewing utensils, because that's what, like, my grandma used a cookie tin like this for her sewing kit as well. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people did. And then, you know, you just get your little pans that represent these different things that you'll find in a sewing kit. Is it a cute idea? Yes, but I also think it's incredibly gimmicky, which is why I would never purchase this at all. But yeah, it looks cute. If you're a packaging lover, I think this may work. But for me, I'm all about the product itself. I prefer slimmer palettes. The more curated and small, the better I feel. Then I think this is Simply Posh. Yeah, this is Simply Posh. They had a new launch as well, but I believe it was a re-release. So they had this palette in the past. Also, the face palette existed before, and now they've released it again. It is the Cozy Up and Cozy Cabin palettes. And this looks cute, sure, but this is like, it's one of those palettes where one half of the palette is warm toned and the other half of the palette is a little bit more cool toned leaning. And I never like that. Like, just give me cool tones and I'm happy. Like, the only brand where I really feel that the way they put their color stories together with both warm tones and cool tones, and that do it quite well, and that appeal to me and attract me as a viewer, is Nomad Cosmetics. But with a lot of other brands, I'm just a bit like, nah, just feels like a cop-out. You know, I'm trying to appeal to everyone by having both warm tones and cool tones in the palette. And for me, that's not necessary. Now, this next product is definitely on the wish list. I want to try this. This is a formula that I know I like, and it's the M Cosmetics Divine Skies eyeshadow palette in Saturn Return. Do I need to say anything else? I have the one in Rodin, and I love it. It's one of my favorite neutral shades, which it's a little bit more warm toned than I would want it to be. So I'm very curious to see how this would go, because it seems to still have like two warm-ish kind of shades, and the cool tones, like in the pictures, they look a little bit more mauve, plum sort of leaning, but they could be very gray. So I'm not entirely sure, but this is one that I definitely want to try. Here's the reason why I haven't done anything with this one yet. Simply because M Cosmetics is incredibly expensive to buy, so I need to be able to curate a good enough shopping cart for myself before I place the order, so that I can really make it worth it, because they ship by weight, and it's like 40 euros in shipping. And the last time I ordered with them, I was hit with a outrageous customs fees, which they still haven't paid me back for, the customs office, not M Cosmetics. I filed a claim and they just never got back to me. So that's why I'm a little nervous for this one, but now that they've released something that's totally up my street, I'm like, yeah, that might be worth the risk, you know what I mean? But it's going to be a 2024 purchase for me for sure. I have plenty of makeup that I'm going to try in the next couple of months, so this is going to have to be put on the back burner for a little while. And I won't be buying this, I think maybe not even until the springtime, because I have so many things I still need to try. Notoriously Morbid has a new palette out as well, the Bog Witch, which they released around like late October, early November. It's a lot of grungy greens with some neutrals, which looks really stunning. But here's the thing as well, Notoriously Morbid is another one of those brands that around Halloween time just kept churning out the palettes. A bit like Glamlight, where every week we got a new palette release from them, and I was like, do we really need all of this stuff? So as stunning as this color story is, I'm now a little bit turned off from this brand, because I feel that when brands over-release, that just adds to waste. So that's why I try to be a little bit more mindful and try not to shop from those brands too often. It's one of the reasons why I don't shop from ColourPop as much anymore, because they do that. Glamlight, Unearthly is a culprit there as well. Bella Beauty Bar is doing this now too, it seems, where they have a new palette every single week, it seems. So it's just a little bit too much for me. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to be parking this one, even though it is a brand that I'm sort of interested in to see what they're doing and possibly put them on the wish list for 2024 because they do some really interesting color story. Odin's Eye has some new Christmas palettes out. So they are re-releasing the two Christmas palettes from last year, and they're releasing 2 new ones. These are the color stories. I'm not even sure anymore what these are called. I bought the ones from last year. I have those, and that's when I started to realize that Odin's Eye isn't exactly my favorite formula. I'm always very drawn in by the color stories that they do, but I always feel that the shimmers are quite lacking for me, what I want to get out of a palette. And it just seems that they're a little hit and miss, that some people get a good batch and other people get a bad batch. And I haven't had the best experience buying from them in the past year so far. And the 2 color stories that are new here don't appeal to me at all. Like, they're good additions to the 2 palettes we already had for sure, but they just seem, there's so much of a mishmash here that I don't even know what I'm looking at, and I don't find them that Christmassy either. So for me, these are a pass. Maybe you already purchased these. These were already out, of course. I think they launched at the start of November. I think it's a smart move from the brand because there were a lot of people who didn't get their hands on these Christmas palettes last year. And a lot of people were angry that they couldn't get them. So I think from the brand's perspective, it's a good move. And if you love Odin's Eye and you want to expand your collection, I think these are great. Odin's Eye isn't like super expensive. They are Swedish, so also if you're within the European Union, it's not going to be super expensive in terms of like shipping and handling fees. And they do ship from China, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's where their manufacturing is, so they ship it directly to their customers from their warehouse there. So, you know, it's pretty quick and easy, and the shipping is pretty affordable for those reasons. So in terms of like an indie brand that is a great first step if you want to get into indie makeup, I think Odin's Eye can be the one. But I've tried some things from them in the past. I have my favorites by them. I do really appreciate what they're doing, what they bring to the table in the makeup game. But this release is not for me. Then we have a Carly Bible palette. And in fact, it's a full collection because apparently she's now starting her own makeup line, which, do we need another influencer makeup line? I didn't personally. I'm not sure how you guys feel, but and also when I look at these products, it's just not bringing anything new to the table. It's got her name on it. That's why it's going to be popular, and that's why people will be buying this. I personally have never understood the Carly Bible hype. I've never really been very attached to some of the bigger creators on this platform, even back in the day when YouTube beauty community had its heyday and, you know, people like Carly Bible had their collabs with bigger brands. So that's why this doesn't really do anything for me. It's there. I didn't think we need it, but it's there. Wet n Wild has a Marilyn Monroe collection. I think that's cute. I haven't tried Wet n Wild in a while. They are a little bit difficult for me to buy because I have to go online. It's very limited, and a lot of the things that you can find in the US, like a special collection like this, very often doesn't make it across the pond. All the Wet n Wild stuff I bought over the years, I think I actually picked up when I was in the US. And it's not my favorite brand, I have to say. It just feels a little bit cheap. You know, the Photo Focus, was that what it was called? Photo Focus foundation I tried, and the concealer. Very often things aren't light enough for me. There's a weird smell. The eyeshadow palettes were okay, but not my favorite. So I've tried a lot of Wet n Wild over time, and I think for a budget, like if you're very much on a budget, they can do some good things, but I have Essence and Catrice for that, so I don't need to seek out Wet n Wild for that reason. Speaking of Essence and Catrice, of course, they are also doing Christmas collections, and I already told you about the Emily in Paris last time that Essence is doing, but Catrice also does some things. This is the Magic Christmas Story eyeshadow palette that Catrice is doing, and what this has to do with Christmas beats me, because these colors aren't it in my brain, but it's good that they're trying to like break out of the mold of what a Christmas palette can be, I guess. But their Christmas collection today is not necessarily, like, I've seen it in store. It doesn't do anything for me. So, and with Catrice's Christmas collections, I've never actually found like my favorite products. I feel their fall collections are usually pretty good. Springtime they can do some good things as well, but For Christmas, it's all a little bit samey, I feel. We have a new concealer by Estee Lauder, the Futuristic Soft Touch Brightening Skin Sealer Concealer. It's a mouthful. It's 30 shades, and this looks stunning. I really, really greatly appreciate Estee Lauder in terms of their complexion ranges, because they do really good things. I've tried a couple of their foundations in the past, and those were instant favorites. However, I also haven't tried Estee Lauder in a while, so I actually want, like, one of the aims I have for 2024 is to try more concealers. So the new YSL, the Gucci one, and possibly also this one, I might want to sort of like splurge on in the next couple of months and try that as well, because I'm currently really making my way through my concealer collection, because I've bought a bunch, but I haven't really tried them and reviewed them for you guys. So I sort of want to do like a roundup of like 10 new to me concealers, and if there's anything that I still need to round up that sort of video idea, then maybe I might be purchasing some of this. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is something I'm definitely interested in. Not something I need per se, but I don't think I've ever tried Estee Lauder concealer. Their foundations are thebomb.com though. They're really good. And then something I already purchased. If Viseart comes out with 2 new palettes that they claim are really good companions to 2 of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, do you think I'm not gonna like hunt them down and pick them up first chance I get? Of course I do. And they had 10% off of their of these on their official website, which actually made it just as expensive to get these from the US than getting them from within the EU, because over here Viseart is marked up a little bit, in case you didn't know. So in terms of all of the extra costs I'm gonna have to pay, and the shipping fee, which wasn't that terrible actually, I decided to pick these up. So these are the Violette Vespertine Étendue, which seems to be like a more neutrally version of the Violette Étendue. That's just what it was called, right? Yeah. And then also the Cashmere Charmeuse Étendue, which is a companion to the Cashmere, which is one of my all-time favorite neutral palettes. It seems to be a little bit darker, a little grungier, and both of them have that aspect to it. Now, I'm not entirely sure, because I have heard that the swatches look very different online than what these palettes can actually do. So I'm very curious to see what will happen with these when I get them in, if I feel they pull too warm toned or too cool toned or whatever is going on. Because if I look at the swatches, I'm not gonna lie, they look a lot more warm toned than the original ones for sure. And if I look at the color story and I then look at the swatches, I don't really see the match there either. So I'm very curious to see. This is going to be making its way to me hopefully soon, but since I ordered from the official Viseart website and I've never ordered with them before, I don't know how long that's going to take. It could be 6 weeks. We'll know soon. We'll know soon. Hensley Rain has another palette out. This is the Lands of Enchantment. I've already seen quite a few creators doing videos with this. This is going to be available from Monolith, which is Hensley Rain is another brand that's stocked on there. And this looks stunning. I still have another Hensley Rain palette that is on my wish list. It's just a little bit expensive, which is why I hadn't picked it up, and then it went out of stock, and now it hasn't been in stock again. But you know what? This looks really pretty. It's got some mattes, it's got some shimmers. I think a lot of people might like this. If you've never tried the brand, this could be perhaps a great first palette, but they are known for their shimmers, and that's why it is a more expensive brand. So that's why I still want the Midwinter Dream and not this one. Pat McGrath has a new release as well, this blue Dark Star Labs version 4. It's like a blue eyeshadow with like with a gloss, like an eye gloss, I think. It's like 2 or 3 products in a little kit. And Pat McGrath as a brand has been doing these kind of kits for a while. Ooh, we have a lot of sunlight coming in from the side. Welcome to fall. This is what happens when you film with natural daylight. But yeah, these like blue tones are like all the rage, it seems, because a lot of brands are doing these blue tones. But it's a full-on, really strong blue, and the swatches of this look amazing, and Pat McGrath can do some marketing. but I know I don't need this in my life. I'm never going to be applying an eye gloss unless it's for like a party or something a little bit more editorial. So I feel this is the kind of release that's more so aimed at makeup artists and not to me as a consumer, I feel. And then the other thing from this release that I also have purchased, the Cosmic Brushes Winter Wonderland palette. And some of you were already tagging me in this when it was announced on Instagram, saying like, Micah, this may be something. And I was telling you before when I filmed a video about my eyeshadow palette wish list that I was interested in more cosmic brushes. And I wasn't really sure because the Muse, I wasn't, not entirely my color story, even though it seems really pretty. And you know, the Delicious Delights, it's a little bit too rainbow for my liking. So those were kind of still on my wish list, thinking nah. But then they did this. And now I'm like, I'm glad I waited because this has my name written all over it. It's definitely more of like a teal, blue, and purple color story, which is all my favorite shades. It doesn't have too many neutrals. In fact, it doesn't have any neutrals at all. It's got a couple of multi-chromes, which we like. And I just, this I ordered the night it was released. However, I think they got a lot of orders in because I haven't even received a shipping notification yet, and it's been a week. So this will pop up at some point, I'm sure. I'll be patient. Then we have the Adept Cosmetics Element 115 eyeshadow palette. And it has this strange rainbow kind of shade. You know, when it comes to Adept, I've now tried them. I tried them last year. I bought a couple of their palettes and I'm like, great, it's a brand that I've tried. And ever since I've tried them, they haven't come out with anything that necessarily appeals to me. They just haven't. And this is another one of those things. I just look at it and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, not that I don't like colorful makeup. Like, I just told you, like, this entire palette that doesn't have a single neutral in sight that I'm going gaga for. And this I look at and I go like, I don't need this. That's the only thing I could think. So, no, this is not going to be making it into my shopping basket at all. And this next one I'm a little disappointed with. And I know a lot of people actually like this because I actually have been told by some of you that you were going to be purchasing this. And it's the Lost Library collection from Fantasy Cosmetica. And I mean, the aesthetic of this looks stunning. The minute they said they were going to be doing a library-themed makeup collection, I was like, I want to see this thing. But, and here's the but, why do we get 6 shades in a single pan? Like, it just looks unfinished to me. Like, it's just six singles in a removable pan, like, palette. And then a bunch of lipsticks. And I'm like, and like a candle and like some other bits, I think. There was a little bit more. So does it look stunning? Is it themed well? Does it fit the brand? For sure, but these 6 shades aren't like a palette. They are singles that you can pull in with other palettes. So for me, it just doesn't feel very cohesive. It feels disjointed to me. It doesn't feel disjointed for the brand, but as a collection, I just don't really see coming together really all that much. So that's why, for me personally, I will be passing up on the Fantasy Cosmetica Lost Library. Conceptualized, concept-wise, I should say. Concept-wise, I love this, but the products aren't for me. We have a Bobbi Brown limited edition collection with the Powder Puff Girls, or Power Puff, that's what they're called. Why? Did we need this? Since when is Bobbi Brown involved with the Powerpuff Girls? Like, it seems so random. Or is it just me? Am I missing out on some, like, crucial information how Bobbi Brown and Powerpuff Girls are suddenly connected rather than, like, apart from the fact that they probably bought an IP? I don't know. No can do. Then this next palette is one I didn't buy, but the brand kindly gifted it in PR to me. So if you did watch my latest palette review video, you will have seen this already, and it's the Dragon Eye palette from What's Up Beauty. So I'm super grateful that the brand was able to send it to me. It is very much on par with the What's Up Beauty quality that I have tried from them in the past, And I think this is really, really pretty. The shimmers are a little bit on the sparkly side of things, so if that's something you don't like, you may not love this palette. But the mattes in this are incredibly smooth and super easy to work with as well. And this is their first palette that includes some multi-chromes. And they definitely do multi-chrome, which I enjoyed. So it's releases like this that always make me sort of like question the world during like the Christmas holiday season. And it's this Vault from, I think it's from Beauty Blender, right? Yeah, it's the Beauty Blender Golden Vault. Why do I need like 16 sponges in different colors that essentially do the same thing? Like, why? Like, if you're a makeup artist, this could be a good deal. But it's $195. Like, no, just no. I don't understand these kind of releases. I really don't. Maybelline is coming out with colored mascara, finally, because I don't think, like at least over here, Maybelline doesn't have any other mascara unless it's like black. So it's good for them to do some different colors. There's a pink, a burgundy, and a blue, which, you know, good for them. Really nice. The burgundy one would have my interest for sure, because that's a little bit more brown leaning. And I think that, isn't it Charlotte Tilbury that has a burgundy mascara as well? I think there are. But I bought one from Catrice because of one of yours recommendations. So I'll be trying that first. And this Maybelline thing, when it comes to the Netherlands, nobody knows. Because with Maybelline, we always get the releases super duper late. We have a NYX release. This is the NYX Duck Plump Extreme Sensation Plumping Gloss. And just that name in itself, Duck Plump Extreme Sensation, makes me not want to buy the product, because I don't want my lips to look like a duck. I really don't. And I do not like the sensation of anything tinkling on my lips. I really do not. So that's why I will be passing up on this. If that's something you like, if you want that tingly feeling, if you want to have a duck face, then maybe this is for you. If that's what you want to go for, then go for it. But it's not for me. Remember what I said when I showed you the Pat McGrath thing, that everybody seems to be doing a blue thing? P. Louise and Michaela are doing a collab, and it's blue. It is the To Have and To Hold in Case You Get Cold. It's a 50 matte and shimmer eyeshadow palette, so it's a little bit big, which is what P. Louise always does, of course. This is the first P. Louise palette where I go, yes, I like that. But did I need this many blues? And I already bought the Cosmic Brushes one, which the blue, green, purple half of the palette that is actually interesting to me is that palette essentially, and it's far cheaper. So I think I'm good. I don't need this, but if you want to mix your blues, greens, and purples with some, or there aren't greens in here, it's like more minty leaning, you could say, and you want some neutrals in there, this could be nice, but I didn't need it. More Catrice, and I'm not sure if this is also a Christmas collection, but it seems to be more like New Year's focused, and they're doing glitter lipstick. It's the About Tonight collection, and I'm not sure if this is like being released at the same time as the Christmas stuff, or if this is completely different. I did already see this in online stores, but I haven't seen it in like physical stores. Catrice can actually do good glitter lipsticks. I don't know where I was because my camera cut off because my memory card had to reset itself, but we have another release from Shroud. So Shroud started teasing a Dark Academia palette in November, and I was like, great. I love Shroud. They're one of my favorite indie brands, and Dark Academia is one of my favorite online aesthetics, both in my book reading as well as my clothing. I take inspiration from it every now and then. And then we got this. And I was like, how is this Dark Academia? Like, it's not... Dark Academia has to be a little grungier, so maybe this is darker than it looks, but it seems quite vibrant. And it only has 3 shimmers. So I was like, this ain't for me. This is not it. I get the theme, but I don't feel the palette goes with the theme. It's a little bit like the Fantasy Cosmetica, where I'm like, I love the concept, but I don't really like the execution. Here we have the Revlon Flex Wear Full Coverage Concealer. So Revlon is a drugstore brand that I cannot buy, sadly. It's not available here at all, but Revlon can do some really good makeup. I try to seek them out whenever I travel because they're also quite difficult to find online, unfortunately. So I think this is a good release for them. It doesn't seem to come in a lot of shades though, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, new concealer release from Revlon for those of you who can get their hands on Revlon. Now remember what I said about Bella Beauty Bar and also like churning out the releases left, right, and center? I think I'm talking about a new Bella Beauty Bar palette in every single one of these videos. And this is the Bejeweled and Bejeweled Holo eyeshadow palette. It's already out. It was launched like halfway through November, right before Black Friday, and you know, it looks pretty. But I've now tried a Bella Beauty Bar palette, and as much as I like the formula, I just felt that there weren't enough shimmers in the palette I have, and the shimmers that were in there were either incredibly samey in terms of how they looked on the lid, or they had a very flaky texture that I don't love because it doesn't work as precise because they're difficult to pick up with a brush. So that's why I've now tried the formula. I like it well enough, but they are also quite expensive. They are available on Monolith, which is good. So if you want to try them, go for it. This seems to be a really nice jewel tone palette. If that's something you're looking for, you might like this, but I personally don't need this in my life. Next up, some more Alamar Cosmetics. I had completely forgotten about this brand. This brand was super hyped up because a lot of people got one of their palettes in one of their beauty boxes a couple of years ago and everybody's saying how great it was. But beyond people who have tried the palette from one of those beauty boxes, I've never heard anybody talking about this brand, which I feel is very indicative of how this brand has gone. It's the Destino eyeshadow palette, it seems. And I'm not sure why this is being released in the wintertime because this is a summer palette to me. So this would have made a lot more sense if it was like a June release, but that's probably just me. I think for the brand, it does fit with what I've seen them do in the past, but they also seem to be a little bit repetitive, which is probably why nobody talks about them anymore. But yeah, new palette from Alamar Cosmetics if that's what you're interested in. We have another new foundation from Tarte, the Amazonian Clay Liquid Gem Foundation. And I think it's one of those things that has a mesh in the bottom, and then you can like press your brush into it and then apply it. That's what I think it does. Again, Tarte is a little bit difficult for me to get. I can get the brand through Sephora Europe, but very often our Sephoras are behind compared to the ones in the US, just saying. So that's why this may be quite difficult to get for me. Maybe if they have this in store, I might be able to pick it up, but it's only 17 shades, so not super shade inclusive. And they don't seem to be going that light or pinky toned. It seems to be quite yellow. So I'm not sure this is going to be for me. The Nimya makeup brand by Nikki Tutorials has a new cream cheek out. This is the Cheeky Flush Cream Blush. Comes in 3 shades, a red, an orange, and a bright pink. Nikki Tutorials and me, we don't really have the same makeup aesthetic. So that's why I am not someone who has been interested in any of the Nimya products so far. And for someone who like lives in the Netherlands, who's Dutch, her products are actually quite difficult to get over here. Like Douglas stocks them, but mainly online. I think the only thing we can even see in store is like the palette in like bigger Douglas stores. But I found the brand without any problems at like several Space NKs. So I'm like, I'm not sure about this one. Then there is a new brand out and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So if you know how to pronounce this and I'm doing it wrong, let me know in a comment down below. But it's Rocael Beauty, Rocael, I hope. And it's apparently Beyonce's makeup artist who's behind this. It's lips for now, and it looks pretty. I'm not sure, like the gold isn't very appealing to me personally. I'm just not a lover of gold. And this is very sort of like yellow tone gold, which I don't love. So that's why this isn't necessarily my pick. But let's see if this truly is the makeup artist from Beyonce, and let's see what else they have to do, like what else they have on offer. Maybe this brand will expand and they're just starting with lipsticks for now. Who knows? There is a new release from Lethal Cosmetics. This is the Midnight Serenade collection. And this was another thing that when they announced it, I was super intrigued because I'm like, okay, Lethal is a brand I like. Midnight Serenade sounds like something I might enjoy. And then I looked at this color story and I was like, wait, what? It's like, it's got the sagey greens and then some like peachy pinks, but then it also has berries and like a straight up purple. It just seems to be going all over the place. So for me personally, it's not enough for me to really be interested in it. And this sort of vibe with like some greens and some berries, I've seen some other palettes do as well. So this seems to be the thing we're going into right now, which, you know, fine. If this is you, if you like this, you might really enjoy this, but I'm going to be passing up on this one. Oh yeah, this is the next one, the Dreamer palette from Unearthly. So the Unearthly, this is their latest collection, and I was looking at this at first and I thought, oh, this looks stunning. It seems to be having a cool tone side and a warmer tone side. So a little bit like that Simply Posh palette and also like the one from Lethal we just saw. We're seeing a lot of these mixes of like different undertones, and I always find those a little bit difficult. Because very often it's very difficult to mix and match different undertones. You can mix shades, but it's very difficult to mix undertones and make it look right, I find. It very easily turns into a muddy mess. So even though at first I thought this looks like a great palette, when I scrutinized it just a little bit more, I was like, I don't think this is for me. So if you've never tried Unearthly though, I think this may be one of the best palettes they've done. Not sure how much it actually is. There's no price listing on this post that I saved. But I have found that quite a few of the later, like the more recent Unearthly releases we've gotten are so much more expensive than the ones I got that are some of their older palettes. So I'm not sure if they've changed their formula or what's going on there, but they have definitely been upping their prices. So in terms of like whether it's still worth it, that's something you're gonna have to consider for yourself as well. Give Me Glow has a new palette out as well, Mystical Garden, which again here with the the two halves of the palette, what's going on there? Every brand seems to be doing this. We have these warm tones over on this side and some like greeny blue shades over on the other side. I'm like, yeah, kind of. But at the same time, I'm like, no, it just, I don't know. Like Give Me Glow is another brand that I've actually never tried before. And again, they are available on Monolith. So I now finally have the opportunity to try them without having to pay a lot of custom and handling fees. But then I look at this and I'm just like, do I want this? Is this something that I want in my life? And the answer is no. This is just, I just know that if I were to purchase this, I would totally buy it because I want to try the formula. But it's not necessarily something that I need. Like it's not really going to be something I want to reach for again or that I really want to go back to. And that's definitely been my aim with other purchases that I've done in the past couple of months, is that I really want to focus on things that I know I'll get the use out of in the long term. Speaking of something that I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the use out of in the long term, it's the new palette from Gloss Gods. This is the first gal. This is the first gal on Jupiter remixed eyeshadow palette. And you know my love for Gloss Gods. I've been documenting it for the past year. I bought some of their palettes towards the end of 2022 for the first time. I started trying the palettes at the start of this year, and I fell in love. So when I saw them do this, with these like grays, and it seems to be having some lovely taupey things in there, a little bit of a plum undertone in some of these, and I was just like, I need to snatch this up. So I set my alarm because this launch happened at 8 a.m. on my day off. If that isn't commitment, I do not know what is. And I was able to pick this up straight away. They also re-released the older palettes in this First Gal On collection as well. So they already did 2 of these in the past. And both parts of those collections have a warm toned and a cool toned version. So no matter what you like, the warm toned one is like very fiery oranges and yellows, which is not my cup of tea, but if that's what you like, they also cater to that. And that's something that I'm really enjoying about the Gloss Gods like collection overall, is that they really cater to, you know, the neutral lovers like I do with a palette like this. But then they also have these creative effects palettes where it's like lots of shimmers and things to get creative with, which I also really enjoy. So Gloss Gods is currently really one of my favorite brands, so this is something I had to pick up. I just couldn't say no. And then this wasn't actually a surprise to me. I saw this announcement and I was like, oh, good for you, Bailey Sarian. And it's the Melt Cosmetics collab that she now has. It's called the Fatally Yours. I think it goes perfectly with her, very on brand, and it goes with Melt very, very well. I think the color story is stunning, but here again, what's going on with the two sides of the palette? It goes on again here with these warmer tones towards the left and then these blues and greens on the other side of the palette. Now, granted, Melt has been doing that from ever since they've been making palettes, so I don't mind it with Melt all that much. But there's another thing that Melt is known for, and that is their matte formula. And there isn't a single shimmer, it seems, in this palette. Like the purple and the blue towards the end seem to have a little bit of a shimmer. But in some of the pictures I have here, it doesn't really seem to have a lot of shimmer. Like there's nothing super shiny or flaky like the Mary Jane has. So I know I would not be able to get the use out of this because I just don't use mattes like this at all in my personal life. If you want to try Melt and you want to try their matte formula because that's what you're looking for and you want these kind of shades, I think the shade selection here is really, really good. I love the swatches of this. I'm pretty sure this is going to get quite a lot of hype also because of her, and I still believe she has a very giant following, so I'm sure this is going to do well. So it doesn't need my support per se, I think, but this can be a good one. Then I found out that Clarity Cosmetics is also releasing 2 new palettes, the Komodo and the Anaconda. And both of these just feel like a very random mismatch of some of the palettes they already have in a smaller format. Or am I just being too cynical here? I'm not entirely sure, but that's why I'm like, yeah, this is not necessarily for me. These are quite expensive. Clarity Cosmetics is yet again a brand that is stocked on Monolith, but they don't really restock the brand all that often. So not sure when these are going to be out. They were released on their official website for Black Friday though, in case you want to pick these up. Oh, and this I thought was a bit of a weird one. So Laura Geller, remember Laura Geller? If you were around YouTube in like 2015, 2016, you remember Laura Geller. I had a couple of the hyped up products and they were very nice. But I think this brand is now online only, if I'm not mistaken. And they now have a collection with Wheel of Fortune. And the palette has the name of the brand, like the letters on the game show. It just feels a little corny. This is one of those things where, again, I'm like, why did we need this? Did anyone ask for this? Why this collab? Why Laura Geller with Wheel of Fortune? I don't get it. But hey, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. And then this I thought was pretty exciting. And at the same time, I'm questioning why was this necessary? Because Wayne Goss has announced he has a new brush collection. So he already had brushes in the past. And now apparently he's redone them all. I don't know what's going on here. I know that some of my viewers follow Wayne Goss a little bit more than I do. So maybe you know what's going on here. But there's this whole hype about this new brush collection. The only thing I remember about his brushes was that it was going to be expensive. But Good for all the EU shoppers. Wayne Goss's makeup line now is not only available through Beautylish, but it's also available through an official website that stocks from the UK. So it's a little easier to get a hold of by now, but I do have to say, with, you know, the limited availability and it being a more expensive brand, I've never tried that much from the brand. I have 2 products because I wanted to try it just to see if it was worth the hype. But the lip gloss I did really enjoy, and also the blush palette I have is of great quality, but they just don't end up being like the kind of products I reach for all the time. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm a bit like, is this something that I really want to put my money towards? I'm not entirely sure yet. And the final release I need to mention here is not fully been announced yet. I only have a name, and I'm pretty sure that by the time I do another one of these videos, or maybe if I can find the image before I sit down to actually post this video, I might be able to insert the color story here. But Blend Bunny is going to be coming out with a new palette called Machina. So it's sort of like a little bit of a sci-fi kind of vibe to it. But that's all I know for sure. If any of the colors that are on the front are in the palette, I have some really, like, it looks very promising, but currently I don't really need anything else. I have only just recently picked up another Blend Bunny palette, so I know I don't need another Blend Bunny palette in my life anytime soon. But this is another brand that you can buy on Monolith if you are in the EU. So again, another indie brand that is a little bit easier to get a hold of. So yeah, these are all of the bits that I wanted to talk about in today's video. Thank you so very much for joining me. Please stick around if you want to see more by me. I make several videos every single week. Thumbs up this one in the meantime, because it would greatly help out the channel. And if you want to subscribe, that would be lovely. And then I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.